All right, hey everybody, welcome home to not the lost, we have a lost motel, but we are the obsolete punks.
Me,
Oh, that's
me,
staying
the
in.
Lost Show.
So we are just kicking into a new album tonight. We are going to be checking out something very special, in my opinion. This is a pick brought to you by Mr. Motel. Before we do get going, though, my name is Timmy, and along with me, as always, is Mr. Pothead, Mr. Hood, and of course, Mr. Motel, if that is your real last name.
It is indeed.
I thought it was. All right, so this is one of your picks here. So Lost Motel. What are we getting into?
We have Propagandhi's How to Clean Everything. And I mean, if you're a punk fan, you probably know this record. It's probably a seminal record, I would imagine. Um, do you want me to dive into my thoughts on the album here?
Yeah, whatever you want to get into. Just any
Why I
thoughts?
picked it?
Why you picked it out? And
Yeah, I think I picked it because it's I would say obviously their most accessible album. I think it's the most well loved across the board. Um, and it's just a stone cold classic. I mean, uh, I'm biased. Propaganda is my favorite band. You know, I'm not gonna say otherwise. They are hands down, and it's not even close, my favorite band. Now, having said that, there's tiers of Propaganda records for me. There's no best or worst. But this is maybe in the lower tier, but still holds like such a special place in my heart because of when I discovered it and just the influence that it had on the rest of my punk days and I think just on the scene in general. So just give a quick like rundown of the album itself, when it came out and all that. So this was actually as far as I understand, the second studio release on Fat after Lagwagon's Duh, which is also insanely impressive that this was that early in the catalog and that amazing. So this one, you had Chris Hanna on guitar and vocals. You got John K. Sampson on bass and vocals. Yes. And you got George Samoleski on the drums. This lineup of Propagandhi, obviously very different than the lineup that we know now today. But I would say that John leaving the band after two albums is maybe, I mean, this is just my opinion, but it's maybe one of the greatest like members leaving and then members coming in that's ever happened, especially in punk. I mean, you got the Weaker Thans out of John leaving, and you got Todd coming into Propagandhi and just making Propagandhi that like
Such a more
thrashing, pummeling force
yeah.
that they became. I think, Todd was what they always wanted in a bass player, and that's not a knock against John at all. But here in the Weaker Thans, obviously John was always going in a different direction.
yep.
But that's beautiful because we got the Weaker Thans out of it. So I mean, how can we possibly complain about that?
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree. Actually, John leaving the band was one of the best things that could have happened to him. I'm not knocking John in any way. I love
Nope.
the Weaker Thans, but I agree. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go
no,
ahead.
all good. No, it's like
No,
I mean you're right. You're
we
right,
all
Tim.
we're all just itching to say shit right now.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody jump in anytime, honestly,
The
because
one
I'm
thing,
just gonna like nerd out.
one thing I did want to say
Oh,
was, yeah, another good one was Bobby to Brooks, drummers for Bad Religion. That was another good.
True.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
massive difference for them
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So
yeah. Well, don't worry about getting long-winded because I'm gonna be long-winded at the end of the song. I guarantee you.
yeah, well, I'll say a couple other things that we can dive into this.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was the album that like I I'd been introduced to Rage, obviously in like 94 by the time I was 14, 15 years old or whatever, listening to their self-titled. And so that was the album that kind of started to introduce some like political stuff into my life. That first Rage album is pretty broad. It paints a pretty broad stroke for the most part. This was
Yeah.
the album that like solidified me being politicized and like getting into like social issues and things like that because it just put a much, even though this is I would say Propagandhi's most broad like album in terms of themes. This was just the one that like kind of put a finer point on some things that really like drove me down that lane of wanting to get into that type of music, but also the idea that like You know, a lot of political punk bands can be pretty militant and hardline, and Propagandhi always brought that levity and they brought the humor along with all of that. And that's always just like struck me as, I don't know, just more, it felt like more like me. You know, it was like, oh, these guys get me. Like they want to be aware, but they also want to be funny about it. Cause like if you don't laugh, you cry, right?
Right.
I think
right.
that's the
Totally.
biggest the biggest line between them and Bad Religion, where Bad Religion is just fucking serious, right?
I guess behind the scenes, you know that they're like maybe not, but yeah, in the music
Yeah.
anyways. But I mean,
Yeah.
yes, but this album specifically, you know, Propagandhi's taken some. There's a lot of comedy on this record compared to especially even their other stuff.
Yeah, if you ever watch any Bad Religion interviews at all, they are not serious about themselves at all. I mean, their music is very serious, but
Yeah,
they're a
yeah.
lot of fun.
But yeah, Propagandhi, like they blur that line between their personal, because obviously, I mean, if you see interviews with them, you know, obviously they don't take themselves too seriously. And Chris even talks about it in his songs a lot, where he just struggles with these ideas of like, who am I to say all this shit? I think we'll find that out on track 1 here. This is like one of the first tracks where he kind of does that. Yeah, I guess I don't have too much else to say other than, if I was reading the liner notes, and I don't know if anybody else will nerd out over this, but I saw in the liner notes that they claimed that this was recorded on a Fostex 8-track. Which
What?
absolutely blew my mind. I have a Fostex 8-track sitting in my storage space right now that I used to like just record demos and stuff on. And if that's the case, it was just like, what the fuck? They released like one of the seminal initial Fat Band albums.
I don't know, actually. Because this was, from what I read, this was at West Beach Recorders. So
Okay. Yeah, then
that's Brett and Bad Religion basically recording it. You know?
so I feel like I should know
Damn.
better, but yeah, I was just going through I busted out my vinyl the other day and was reading through it and saw it. So anyways, maybe it's not true. Maybe they were just, you know, they're joking around or whatever, because obviously we're just talking about them being like that.
Well, I just got
Being
that off of
jokesters.
Wikipedia. How much can you trust Wikipedia? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, again, I say, how much can you trust the liner notes in an early Propagandhi record?
Right.
Here?
Just a whole lot of shit talking going on.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, fucked.
I'll just wrap it up by saying this is hands down probably my favorite album to play along to on guitar. This is like, it's just the perfect mix of like, it's just challenging enough, but it's also just easy enough. It just sounds great. The riffs are so much fun. Yeah, just great album to play along to. I was like, if I'm going to sit down and play guitar, this is the album that I go to, like, first and foremost, for sure.
Very nice. Yeah, it's a good album to learn from. So what do you guys think? Kick it off. Track 1,
Yeah,
Anti-Manifesto.
let's go.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I talked way too long. Let's do this.
No, we're good. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's go, DJ.
Dance and laugh and play. Another message we convey. It seems we're only here to entertain. A rebellion catch a fit. Well, I refuse to be the soundtrack to it. We entertain, we're still knee deep in shit. Well, there's something wrong inside. We played it safe, enjoyed the ride. You won't like this, but I have something to confide. We strive for something more than a faded sticker on a skateboard. Right on your perimeter out the door. And I don't even care any fucking more. Witness this pair in accomplice. Witness this pair, lethargic, unconscious, no brows bowed in question, complacent, completing their tasks. No questions asked. Consider this critic a cretin, resting on laurels completely invented. Word out. acrobatics perform with both harness and net. I'm so full of shit. But I will remain till this self-awareness fades, till I defeat the purpose served by this soapbox that you made. That you made. Hope, perseverance, a vision, some doubt. Green ink, a 2-6, a bad case, a big mouth, a sum of our parts, and I've never laughed harder. A song in our hearts, and I've never laughed harder. It don't really matter, 'cause nothing's ever felt as right as this. By the way, I stole this rip. Dance and laugh and play, ignore the message we convey. It seems we're only here to entertain. A rebellion cuts a fit. I refuse to be the soundtrack to it. We entertain, we're still knee deep in shit. In shit. And we're so full of it. Free.
Hey-o. All right, so that's track one. So I don't know if it was mentioned, but this is a Canadian band. And Hood, I understand you are Canadian.
That's what you guys tell me. Fuck, I don't know.
All right. So first of all, go ahead and kick us off here. Propagandhi. I don't know. It's Propagandhi, isn't it?
Propagandhi.
Propagandhi.
No.
You gotta go Canadian.
Let's just say both are okay for this stream, okay?
All right. So what do you have
Let's
to say
let's
about?
all fucking get along. There's enough of this conflict outside of this stream here between the U.S. and Canada right now.
Yeah,
so.
save it for the hot goss.
All right. So what do you got to say about this one? About it.
This is I fucking love this track. You know what? And it's this with punk music, it's always kind of it's a double-edged knife. Where the average person who's never listened to punk music before, they think of a punk band as just messy shitheads who play loudly and have nothing to fucking say, and they're just destroying things and destructive. And they stand for a lot more than a faded sticker on a skateboard, right? They have a lot more shit to say than they give off than the average person knows about. But it also kind of allows the scene to stay as the scene, to kind of make it that community where punks just anyone who's listening to punk music knows that this is what they're about. But yeah, I don't know. I absolutely love this fucking song. And what's the lyric here? 1 second. Something about word acrobatics. Christ, I can't remember where it is.
Performed with both harness and net.
Yeah, it's just that is so relevant. That'll be relevant forever. I absolutely love that line there. This is a fantastic way to start off any fucking punk album. I absolutely love it. I'm going with an 89 with this song.
Nice.
Very nice. Mr. Pothead.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, Hood, question for you. Since you are the resident Canadian, is cretin, is that Canadian for cretin? Like,
well, and I'm assuming it is. So even I say cretin.
It's probably just word acrobatics.
We did have a prime minister named Jean Chrétien, so maybe that's what they're not.
Hey, it could be related. Who knows? No, yeah, fucking great song, man. Definitely a nice way to open a fucking album with, like, great energy. Love the instrumental on it, and at the beginning there, I can't think of what song it is, but that beginning always reminds me of a NoFX song, and I can't think of the song. But I kind of wonder if NoFX kind of stole that melody for one of their tracks because I want to say it was one of their later songs, like off of like uh, the one with Bush on the cover.
Oh, War on Errorism.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of want to say it was one of the tracks off of there where they had a very similar sounding melody. But yeah, I fucking love this. Yeah, I was more about an '84. I'd said,
Actually, I do have one question to add. And Timmy or Lost, you guys may know this, but where did they steal the riff from?
I've often
I
wondered
don't
that myself.
I don't know that there's a consensus, and I don't know that Chris has ever necessarily said. I have seen
No, okay.
that there's an idea that he stole not only that little the part where he goes, "I stole this riff," and then plays the riff, but potentially the like kind of main idea riff for the song is also ripped off from some other band that he like,
Mm,
yeah, inverted the riff that he stole. But yeah, like Tim said, I don't think there's ever been like a consensus on what it actually is.
yeah, gotcha.
All right, Losty, keep that mouth thing going. What you
Get it while you can.
think?
Yeah, just I would piggyback real quick on what Hood said about that line. That is a great line in the song. Like I always took it as like this idea that Chris is like, well, yeah, I'm up here in the safety of like being in a band. It's like easy for me to just spout off, but um, if there's nothing behind it, it's easy to get up on stage and just sing a song and say some things if you're not backing it up. So it was like the song in general, yeah, absolutely classic album opener. Again, just my opinion, but probably one of the best Fat Record album openers ever. It's way up there, way up there. It's just if nothing else, it's iconic. It's just an iconic track and opener. Um, I think there's a lot going on like lyrically here. I'm sure Tim, you'll get into that a little bit more, and you'll probably be a little more well spoken about it than myself. So I'll leave that for you, I think, and then we can
No,
kind
I
of
have
chat.
nothing to say. Well, very little to say about the lyrics when
Oh,
I get into the podcast at the end here. It's
okay.
more about the song in general. So if you have something you want to throw out about the lyrics, go ahead.
No, I think it's just yeah, to kick off the album with this song, it's obviously they were dealing with stuff around this time where they were oh my God, for being the biggest Propagandhi fan, I should know what track 3 on Less Talk is called. But another track where this track and that track kind of feel similar in the sense where they're talking about like um we want to mean more than just the music that we're playing, and there's people still in the scene even who don't get it. They just want to
dude.
come and listen to our music, and they don't want the message. And I mean, there's the Propagandhi fans to this day are like that, where they're like, just shut up and play. We don't want to hear what you have to say, which is
Let's talk more
completely,
rock.
yeah, it's just absolutely mind blowing.
You
I'm
want?
talking
You want?
about. I don't remember the title of the song, but is it the
Oh,
you
oh,
dance to this, you sing to me?
this is
Right,
great.
right.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, I was gonna say
I
this
know
is
what you're
great
talking about.
because the third track on Let's Talk More Rock is Let's Talk More Rock.
Oh, that's right. Duh.
There we go.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm so
we're
bad. I'm
geniuses
so
here,
bad.
people. We are so smart.
So bad with song titles.
Me too.
So obviously it's a slightly different thing, but it's the same idea where he's like, "Are you not listening to what I'm saying? Like, it's right there in front of you." Um, but there's also a little bit of that, like he feels unsure about like, do I have a right to be saying any of this? Who am I to say? I'm just some schmuck with a guitar. Um, but also I have a lot to say. It's like again, like I said, I think Chris like still to this day writes songs where he kind of struggles with that a little bit, where he feels a little bit like he's got imposter syndrome a little bit.
Yep.
I just want to be like, dude, you don't.
Pretty smart
uh,
guy.
yeah, exactly. Musically, I mean, yeah, that's great. Chris is killing it all over this thing. John's got some great melodies going on. That was always what I liked about John's bass work in the early stuff is, Todd's obviously got just chops for days.
Mm.
Um, but John had great and Todd does too, but John had a great sense of melody, which you could tell, transferred over to the weaker thens in his songwriting. But I like what that brought to the first two Propagandhi records, and this one's no exception. Even down to like who does this? Like Chris plays those guitar harmonics, and John does the harmonics on the bass to match. Like who does that? It's fucking great. Just love it. So,
I actually
um,
find that their vocal harmonies to be kind of comical, quite honestly. in
Really?
these first couple albums. I do, yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
not that it's bad. I just think it's very
Clashes.
like 22-year-old.
Oh, 100%. I think Chris would
Yeah,
probably
like it
tell you
just
this. Chris
yeah.
would say the same thing.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty much like, I like these songs, but I don't like the way they sound on the
Yeah.
record. And
That's
so
Yeah, he
please,
tries to
please
sing
don't
like
ever
a
play
snotty
this.
punk kid
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
rather than using his real voice like he does on later albums.
Mhm,
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let Tim get into it. This is a 94.
94,
Very
nice.
nice.
You know what? I'm going to do a little different here just because, like I said, we're about to get into a podcast on this one as if we're not already. So I am just actually 1 point behind you there, Lost Motel. I'm at a 93.
Nice.
And that does give us an absolute
89.
Obsolete Punx score of 90.
Ah, I was so
Oh,
Gonna break
close.
that pin out.
I was so
Woo.
close.
Get the pin
Fuck
going.
yeah. I think it's is that our first 90?
Oh, no.
I believe so.
Overall
No.
90.
I thought we had an 89 on the
Yeah.
NoFX. I think 180
I-
degrees was
I think,
89.
I'm pretty sure we hit a
Or-
90 in No Effects at some point.
Did Eat the Meek get a 90? I think it might
Oh,
have.
maybe it did.
Oh, maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, no spoilers. No spoilers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Hey.
that'll come out,
Now
that'll come
we're
out
good.
before this.
It'll already be out.
And they'd had to watch this video to the end to be able to see that. So, yeah.
Exactly. Everybody's already been gone for half an hour.
Well, I'm sorry.
So
Maybe
let's
not
go
to
on
the
for
end.
another
7-minute
half an hour
video.
here.
We may be halfway,
All right.
yeah.
Podcast beginning now.
Okay.
All right. Do you remember, you know how in life there's like these specific points in time that you can remember the exact moment something happened and where you were, what you were doing to the T?
Oh, yeah.
That is this album for me in two different ways. Number one, just the album itself. I can tell you the exact day that I heard it for the first time, which was Monday, September 13th, 1993.
Goddamn.
Memory right there. The only reason I know that is because the first time I heard it is in a friend's car and we were driving to go see Bad Religion show, and it was my very first Bad Religion show ever. So that date sticks in my head. And that was with Green Day opening for Bad Religion. Can't get better than that from way back in the day. So I just kind of remember like hearing the music, you know, just in the background. We're all just like chatting, stuff like that. But like so much of it was just like catchy and unique. I was like, oh shit, I got to check this out for real. So fast forward to Saturday, September 18th, 1993. I went down to the record shop, picked up this album. This was of course, the very first song I heard. My mind was fucking blown at that point. Like to me, there was just so much difference of like what they were doing compared to anything else I was listening to.
Yeah, I'd never heard anything like this album the first time I
Yeah.
heard it.
There was nothing out there like this.
Right.
back then.
It was so creative for that time. And that's why I think this album is like
Yeah.
so influential in 1993, like almost as influential as like Suffer from Bad Religion 1988. I think this album had a lot to do with like
Yep.
pushing the music forward
Yes.
as well. Because if I think back to 1993, at least in my little world of punk rock, Epitaph was so dominating the scene. You know, you had your Bad Religion, you had Pennywise, you had No Effects kind of thing going on. And what they were kind of putting out at that time was writing songs that were just kind of like verse, chorus, maybe a bridge, maybe a guitar solo, repeat the chorus, end song, throw it in a can, carbonate it, and ship it off to the people to consume it, right? Then along comes Propagandhi, and it just felt like they just took that fucking can, just like shook the shit out of it, popped the top, and just let it fucking spray and make a mess everywhere. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway from this very first track and why I kind of rate it that way. If I were to hear this 10 years after it came out, I probably would not rate the song in 93, but there's just a lot of nostalgia that goes into it for that rating. And then my last thought really about it is I don't think it's necessarily just only a great album opener. I think it's actually a great introduction to the band because they were smart enough to know this is going to be their first kind of widespread release. And they just came out, they did their thing. They were very unique about it. And they're putting out this message like that whole faded sticker on skateboard, they're striving for something more. And that's your very first introduction to the band at that point. And I think they have stuck with that throughout their entire career is no matter what we're going to put out, it's going to be our thing. It's going to be unique. And we have shit to say.
Yep.
So
Hell
it's
yeah.
not just, like I'm saying, it's not just a great album opener. It's a great introduction to the band.
I'll
So-
always say they're by far the most lyrically dense band out there. Like they
They're up there.
have so much shit in their lyrics. It's wild. Even if
Absolutely.
it's speaking broadly or specific, like they do in a lot of songs. It's I mean, it may not be thesaurus like Bad Religion is, but they just have so much in there. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, very smart. A lot to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm done with my podcast. What do you guys think? Any last thoughts you want to throw out, or you think we've chased everybody off?
Yeah, I think
35
I
minutes
think we're gonna close
intro.
this one out.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and close this out. I guess we can still go on for another 20 minutes on this song, but I think we're done.
Try to save some for the other tracks, right?
Exactly. I
There's
think
gonna be a
after
lot
this
to say about
point,
these
I'm
other
going to take a
ones.
nap. We're going to end this stream, end this recording. We'll get back to this next week. How's that sound?
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. So anybody who did make it this far, thank you so much for sticking around with this. Once again, this was track number 1 from Propagandhi's How to Clean Everything. That was Anti-Manifesto. We will see you very soon for track number 2, Head, Chest, or Foot. Hope to see you there. Bye,
Yeah.
kids.